Hello, profit takers. It's Victoria here, and we are back with another video. New week, new trade setups. I hope you guys got some of those amazing new bull runs that we had in the indices today. I want to start off by talking about the new updates. Now, you guys already know, let me get to the chart, that we have this new feature here with the previous day high and low breaks. I want to know when the market breaks, and I don't want to have to count it like I used to do manually, right? So now it's here on the dashboard, making your trading even more easier and user friendly, right? Making this PTAD user friendly. So I'm looking at EU right now, guys, and it's showing two peak low, right? So we had a peak low here. It looks like this is a retest to the low. And we had this high. Okay, we had this high up here, so check it out. This high has got to be broken, right? Has yet to be broken. So that's why it's 0 here. So we can already know that we're coming into EU and it's ranging. And guess what today was? Monday. It's still Monday for me, even though it's showing that we're in Tuesday, right? It's still technically Monday for me here. But as you can see, today was a range bound day, a high and low day for the euro dollar. So tomorrow I am looking for this to finally break through, and then we'll finally see that one, and we can tell that like here with euro CAD, we have two peak low and then we have one break. So today it told me that it broke today on Monday, right? So Tuesday we're expecting it to break again. So ideally here, we're looking for 3 breaks, right? Once we get that third break, that's 3 previous day high breaks or low breaks. And guess what? That's a trade strat. That's a setup right there. Okay. Once you get those 3 days of breaks, we should expect some kind of reversal. Okay. And sometimes that reversal could be a complete trend reversal. And sometimes it's just, a retracement within the current trend, right? But nonetheless, it's a setup. Okay, so what else you're going to notice on here, guys, is that we have the major zones. So I have the previous month high, week high, and low, high and low. We also have the open range for Monday. As you can see, this is the open range, and this is just going to progress as the week goes. All right. You're also going to know that the daily high and low is going to move as price moves for that day. So I'm just going to keep monitoring that to see if that's something I want to keep on there. But for the most part, I do like to see that on there, especially if you're trading from the high and low, right? But nonetheless, these features are here. I'm testing them, and I hope to get them out to you all, hopefully by the end of this week. As soon as I can. Okay, that's just really it. As soon as possible, because I'm just now really getting to try this new feature that we added with the open range. Okay, so we have the open range here, and then Tuesday, tomorrow, which are already on the market, and you can also see the days. So the days of the week are already here on the indicator. So you do not need to add a day's indicator on here anymore. Okay, if you do have the days indicator, it's going to conflict with the file and it's not going to work. All right, that's another thing you guys need to know. When you're installing this EA, it's meant to run pretty smooth and quick and fast. And if you, whatever the reason, are running into an error and it starts to hose up, it's because there's an indicator that's conflicting with the file. So what I recommend you to do is just load this thing on a clear chart and then add the indicators that you love, and then remove the ones that start to slow it down. And those are the ones that are the problems. Okay. But for the most part, I have tested out all of my indicators that I have on here, and they work out fine. So the ones that I have, of course, with the pips meter, the currency symbol, those are the no-brainer ones. All these work out just great. There's one more that I'm going to add on here, which I have to load it on this chart. But nonetheless, everything else does not conflict. And that's really my goal here, is for this thing to work smoothly and be a trading strategy for you all, right? That you don't need anything else. As you can tell, I don't have anything else on here except for the PTAD. Really, I don't use, you can put the EMA on there. Go if you want to have your universal EMA, your 200, your whatever, you're 34. I think my husband uses 34 on, he trades futures. I don't know if that's any, it's the same. Okay. A chart is a chart is a chart. But nonetheless, whatever EMA you want to drop on here, that that's fine. But for me, I'm looking at what's happening with structure, looking at price action, right? That was really one of my main goals when I started to learn how to trade, is to learn how to read price action as well and not have too many indicators on my chart. The main thing with this indicator here is just to help me have a bird's eye view of which pair that I want to get into for the day, right? And then everything else is about the levels, right? That's very, very, very important. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these pairs today. Like today we had US 30, right? We had a new bull run, guys. Look at that, right? Beautiful. We had our first day of the peak. So this was like a day zero. Okay, it was definitely day zero for Monday. So tomorrow we're at the high. We're at the high. So the only other thing we need this thing to do is either break the high or get resistance from the high. It's really just that simple, right? And if it does get resistance from the high, it's not anything that we're looking to hold, right? If we're going to scalp that short trade, we just scalp the short trade, right? Sometimes you're going to get the high when New York opens and then you take it, to the low and then you go back long again, right? That's an opportunity too. So it's not that, when I post trade setups and whatnot, they could be trade setups that happen earlier in the session. Sometimes they'll happen later on that day, right? But I'm always trying to post the things that are pertaining to what the actual trend expectation should be. And am I going to hold on to that expectation for the day? Not necessarily. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We can't really make price do what we would love to make price do what we want it to do, but that doesn't always happen. Okay. But this was a beautiful trade today. And so was oil, guys. Let's take a look at oil. And again, this one, let me go to, that's the 30 minutes. So we can kind of have a bird's eye view here. So as we can see here, guys, Friday was our peak high trade. And today, Monday, was the day 2 trade, baby. And it worked. Okay. I love it when these day 2 trades work out. Right? Because oftentimes these day 2 trades can come right up here in the middle of the 50% area and do what? Go the opposite way, right? So that's just it. So what do I do for day 2 trades? I typically come here, I'll measure the high and the low from the previous day, right? The previous day's high and low, and then that's where I get the 50%. Somebody asked me today if I always use the 50%. Sometimes the 50% works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just a guide, but it offers a level of support or resistance for you. Okay? That's exactly what it does. Sometimes price is at a level, which is the daily high and low, where you can also enter. Okay? Sometimes the open price is there for you to enter, right? Sometimes it's the close price. Now, I just use the open price, guys. I don't use the closed price. I don't think it's necessary since I already have the open price indicator here. They're very close, I think. And this has been working for me for a long time. I love it. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So this day 2 trade, beautiful. So now that now that Tuesday is coming into play, into motion, what are we looking for? Obviously, it's supposed to continue, right? It's supposed to continue because we already have 2 days from the peak, and I'm counting Tuesday as the 3rd day of the peak. And we had 1 day of break of the previous day low. I'm looking for the 2nd break of the previous day low and for price to continue down here, right? That's what I'm doing. And where are my levels of taking profits? I mean, literally, we do want price to break this level here, okay? And then perhaps take my profits at the previous week low or the 280R since they're so darn close, right? Either one of those areas are perfect to take profits from, okay? And it could also go all the way down here. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but, those are just going to have to wait and see how the market sets up in Asia and then what happens for London, and then see if we have this opportunity to go short. Okay. That's the plan. However, what else could happen, right? It could totally come to this area and then reverse back to 180R or something like that. But definitely this is going to be my guide, right? If it comes all the way back here, because sometimes it can do that, it comes all the way back to this area. Okay, and then it continues to break down. It could do that too, because day 3, which is tomorrow, Tuesday, can also present as a reversal day. But I'm only going to know once price sets up and I can see if we're going to get support from this area, if a W prints up nicely for us, right? And we start breaking highs. I mean, that's the only the only indication that you really need to see if you're going to be able to jump in on for that. But we got a plan. Like I always say, you got a plan, right? We know what we're going to do. If that doesn't happen, then we do this. If that, then what, right? That's it. We're not going to make this thing hard. We're not going to stress ourselves out. We're going to use the tools that we have in front of us, the strategy that you have defined, right? Like these are easy defined trade setups for us, right? And then we're just going to execute, right? We're going to execute with confidence. All right. So let's look at UJ, because this one was a trade that didn't necessarily, only did one basically didn't even break all the way through, really didn't keep going. Sometimes guys, I notice if it does have a nice little low, I'm just gonna, you know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just draw a little trend line here, and I'm going to wait for price to do something with this trend line. Okay, because it could do what, right? It could bounce off of this trend line, come back here to the 180R area, boom, and come back down. So let me get my stuff ready here. So this was a high. This was so high up there, and that was the low. And the 50% area, you see how sometimes the 50% area just does not work, right? It's just an area of reference and perhaps support or resistance for whatever pair that you're going to be trading. But as you can see for the day, right? You can see for the day, guys, that was the high. So you can just make an adjustment. You can just make an adjustment. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to go with that low. And there's the entry right there. Okay. That's how you do that. And that's to answer one of the other guys' questions. So I'm just going to stretch that to the next day, because that could be an area that price may come into play and then perhaps drop. But I'm just going to get prepared for that. Okay. So again, I am looking for this to continue. However, if it does reverse and go up, I'm looking for this area to offer me some kind of resistance to then push this thing and propel it back down and to break this area, because that's what we want to do when we want to go on the bearish trend. Okay. And what else do I notice here? If that happens, guys, this is UJ, so this could play out early in the session. It could play out later. It's just either or. So you see how the open price is here. Price could come back, go back up and then come through in your entries at the open price, right? Maybe by the time I get to the chart, my entry's at yesterday's low. I mean, because that's what I want it to do, right? I want it to break yesterday's low. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to get here or whatnot, but those are the areas where you could leverage for entries, right? If you're not going to go ahead and scale it in with the fib, okay? Those are just options for you to use when you're getting in the chart. Now, I did talk about UCAD where we had, I think this one worked out just fine too. Let's look at this. So this one broke through nicely. Look at that. Broke through really nice. We already have our one, right? Because it broke the previous day high, right? So now it's retracing, okay? It's doing exactly what we want it to do. We're going into day 3, all right? We're going into day 3, and our goal here is for price to get support, right? It's either going to get support from the open range, right? From that weekly, which is now going to be the weekly low, or now when Tuesday, here's another thing, when Tuesday develops, we'll talk about that later on this week. But for tomorrow, we're looking for this to get some support down here somewhere and then continue to go on up and break the high. That's what we're looking for. Since it already accomplished 1, we're looking for 2. Now, if 2 does not happen on Tuesday, then what do? It's going to happen the following day. That's usually how it works, right? So let's look at one more. Let's see here. Oh, this one looks like it's trailing going on for a ride here. This is this is like 7 days, right? 7 days, which is literally 8 days from the peak. It's also showing 5 days of previous day low break. Okay. So when I see 5 days and then I'm looking at this, it has a max ADR already maxed out on the ADRs. You can see it already hit the max, and now it's starting to retrace back up, right? So tomorrow, I don't know that we're going to get a 6. Sometimes you'll get a 6 and then that will be like the absolute finite one. So I'm just going to wait for that one to give me a little bit more, because once it gets closer, perhaps once it gets closer to 280R, it's probably going to go ahead and and give us a confirmation that we're going long. But ideally here, it is looking good. It still needs to break some highs. It hasn't quite broken highs yet for us to to get in this trade just yet. I like to look at the pattern. Do we have a W pattern? Right now we have 2 hits to the low. We have already hit the previous week's low here, and then the week's lows right here. So price could literally come back down to this area, right? Or maybe it won't, right? But we're definitely looking for this to break the highs and then confirm a bull trend. That's the goal. Because our friend here, GU, right, has already done that. And look how similar they look, right? Sometimes they just look so similar. You're just like, okay, I'm using you. As you can look, guys, there was my entry here that I had put down here to get in on this trade. Okay. So look how beautiful that was. So anytime you see the green box, that's me preparing myself to get in. Okay. And so I was definitely looking for this thing to go long. Absolutely. And it did just that. Right. Now, I'm never going to say this thing is 100%, because price action will always update this dashboard immediately, right? So you can say, oh, it was going long and now it's going short. I'm like, well, if it's going short, then guess what? Lows got broken, right? Oh, it was going, it was, vice versa. The highs started getting broken, right? And it's going to update immediately to let you know, okay, we need to be flexible. So do me a favor and try not to get really stuck hard on, okay, this is the trend, this is what we're doing. Like I often love these day 2 trend trades because they often play out, but I'm telling you guys, sometimes they do not, right? Sometimes they will then continue to reverse, right, for all of day 2, and then day 3 they play out. That happens all the time. But when you have a basket of instruments to look for, right? And that's something Stacy Burke says all the time. Always have a basket of instruments. I've always looked at more than just 1 or 2 pairs, because within all these instruments that you can see here, all these different pairs that you can trade, you can just pick out the ones that you want. And you might end up with like 3 or 4, right? That actually play out. Okay. So we did say UCAD played out. What else? Let's look at something else. We looked at oil. Boy, we looked at almost everything. Okay. Nas, beautiful Nas. I was on the plane when this happened. So by the time I got home, I was still able to get some. I was like, boy, this thing is going. I love it when it trends like that, because usually when you hit these trends like this, guys, it's hard to get some towards the end of the session, and we got lucky today. But I would have definitely loved to have gotten in this thing a little bit earlier, but I was on the flight. Okay, so now I think that's all that I have for today. If you're in the locals group, I'm going to post the setups that I'm seeing for tomorrow. I've already even talked about some of them here, right? So if you guys haven't, now, if you go to the website right now and download the trial version of this, right, you can definitely do that. You can try it for 7 days, right? Now, the trial version that's on the website right this moment is not the update, right? Like I just shared with you earlier. This is going to be updated hopefully by the end of the week, if not sooner. I have a few things that I want to make sure that look good before I release it to you all. And then, you know, we'll just go from there. But I'll definitely make you aware of it. But in order for you to know straight away, you got to get in. You got to get into the locals. You got to try out the dashboard just for yourself. Again, it's a 7-day free trial. If you want to skip the trial and just get on in there, go ahead and save 30%, which is exactly $15. So it's $35 for the subscription, right? So, and you know, as you can see, this is a very powerful tool, and you know, I can't wait for you to try it and give me your feedback. All right. Okay, guys, I will see you all in another video. Ciao for now.